It's three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Early on a Monday morning here, we got Booney, the Rhino. We got our guy, former Buffalo Bill himself, a man who once jumped through, I don't think it was a flaming table, but it was a table.
It was in my mind.
Was it on fire?
In my mind, it was.
It was not on fire.
I feel like at some point you need the full flaming table experience, but jumping through a table in
My 8-month
Buffalo.
pregnant wife would not have enjoyed that in that moment in time.
Did she enjoy you doing it without the flaming table?
I was already in enough shit. That would have just been icing on the cake.
So we're up. We're gonna give you guys. We're gonna do two parts here. We'll do our mics where we get into all the games from divisional round weekend, which was crazy, and we'll carve out some time for a part two, some dumb football questions. But all throughout the first microphone here, the first mic here,
wake up
on my microphone.
Come on, wake up.
Buddy.
We all just woke up 20 minutes ago. But dude, divisional round weekend is. I love me some championship weekend, but every year, and you're going to get like one dud. It is the most fun weekend in the NFL, is it not?
Yes,
100%.
absolutely. Those games were amazing from start to finish. It was an epic weekend, and there was a lot of stock that went up and a lot of stock that just went down, and it was like, boy. But I'll tell you what, it was phenomenal to watch some of the competitiveness going back and forth, the fighting. There was a lot of jawing. At one point, I saw Chris Jones talking shit to the entire Houston offensive line and like pushing them, and I was like, this is what this is for. You want this, you have to go physically fight somebody to take it from them, and it was every bit of amazing. That game last night, and I know we'll get to it.
Hold on.
I don't know what I watched more. No, listen.
Into the pod.
I watched more of that than my son's game, and I think at one point all the parents were looking at me like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Dude, what are you watching?
What are you? How are you
seeing
not
this?
watching it?
Are you seeing this right now?" They were like, "Dude, your son just scored." I was like, "The boy Johnny, did you see what he just did?"
It's the Buffalo Bills, you guys. The Buffalo Bills.
Guys, Josh Allen. It's MVP versus MVP. They're screaming MVP too, and I don't know who they're yelling it at. That's what makes me so excited right now. I was through the roof. I had so much fun.
We had two snow games yesterday too.
Two
snow games.
That Philly game made me so jealous. At one point, you could tell nobody could run anywhere, and I was like, you know how fast they're getting off that line? Not fast. They're all just running into each other, like bopping each other. It's some of the best football. I'll tell you what. All right, Mackey, hit us.
I'll give you. I'm going to give you. We're gonna throw four mics out here, and each mic is going to get us into one of the four divisional round games, and we'll explore it from all angles. I'm going to give you a potential hot take as the first mic.
Okay.
So Jay's repping his Buffalo Bills hoodie
ready.
here.
Jay's ready. He came prepared today.
I think he might come along with me. What the Homer hooded sweatshirt?
Not only that, but just.
I'm excited that when good people from a good organization win playoff games.
That's a self-suck right there.
Hey, that's a well-run organization. From when I played in it to when I work with them now on the agent side, that is a well-run organization, and that's why they're having success. But I digress.
So
continue, Mac.
I would agree with that, though. Seriously, that's one common theme always said with all these great teams.
All the teams
here
in going into championship weekend here have either flipped the organization on their head. From it was an absolute. There's that thing where it was absolutely like bad. They have really good people in high up places, right? And they've got guys that have been there before. Like all four of these teams are very well run organizations from the top down.
Which is wild to say about one of the four, the
one
Commanders.
Of the four. That's why I said one of them flipped it.
Well, for 30 years they were not, but now they are. Okay,
easy,
so here it's a two-part take for my first mic.
All right.
My first mic is Josh Allen.
Oh.
And my take is Josh Allen for the last 2 years has been the best quarterback in the NFL. And if we look at a 10-year arc, because he is younger than Patrick Mahomes by like almost a full year. If we look at because we get so paralyzed by what's happening right now, and this player has a great 3 months and is crowned, but if you zoom out, there is a world. He has to win next weekend for this to happen. But there is a world in which Josh Allen retires as the more decorated, highly regarded quarterback between the two of them.
That's a big take, Mac. You're how many years has he had in
Obviously,
this
right
league?
now
6?
it's not true. I'm projecting a
I know,
10-year arc.
I know, but I'm saying, like, even if you're projecting this 10-year arc, I'm still going, that's a lot to ask for.
How many Super Bowls does Mahomes have? 3?
He's got 3. He's got 3.
They're going for 4.
But here's the thing.
This is the pivot point. You're
right.
Josh
Allen has been ascending the last 2 years. What you're seeing right now is the fully formed, fully realized version of Josh Allen. His turnovers are the key here. So 2 years ago, I'm laying in bed last night on Football Reference because I'm like, he doesn't take negative plays, you guys. He doesn't. You're facing the best teams in the world right now. So in 2 playoff games, 0 turnovers, only 3 sacks taken in the 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
In the regular season, Josh Allen had 25 combined sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. He took 14 sacks all season as the most ball-dominant, ball-hoggy quarterback in the world, right? 2 years ago, that number was 60. He's gone from 60 to 25 in 2 years. Patrick Mahomes had double the sacks, interceptions, fumbles this season compared. So you're getting all of the upside of one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time, and he doesn't take negative plays anymore.
And he doesn't have some of his star receivers anymore, which is even crazier, right? Like, you add the addition of James Cook and what he can do, and how every now and then giving him the ball, people are like, wait a minute, what's Cook? And at the same time, you have one of the best O-lines, one of the best. And that is another huge formula to all this. Yes, there's no question. Josh, I've said it before, he should be the MVP. He did way more with way less than a lot of other teams. And at the same time, in no way did he go out and do any of the things that 2 years ago we were all like, don't do that. Stop carrying that ball like that, right? Like, he's grown up. We're all excited.
Dude,
we're like,
did you see, there was a play where they're trying to get in. It was right at the end of the game, and they're trying to get a touchdown to win the game. They wind up settling for a field goal. It gets interesting. And he's trying to bulldog his way into the end zone, and he's kind of got his back to the goal line wrapped up. And he sees James Cook, and you saw the gears turning for a second.
Wait a minute.
Old Josh Allen's like, I'm going to lateral it. And maybe it's a house call the other way for the Ravens 3 years ago. Yeah. But then he realizes, no. A field goal makes it 8. Let's trust our process here. You could see it playing out.
I will say,
yes,
he has gotten
100%.
more conservative. You can see him getting more conservative, and you're like, now you're starting to see why quarterbacks are so important, buddy. You are not giving the other team the ball, and instead you're making plays, taking huge hit while making big plays. Like, he is everything that Buffalo needs right now. Defense, do not fail this man. Do not. Did you see Ed Oliver hit Roger Rosengard out of bounds when he tackled Lamar, and all of a sudden Roger's like, no, boom, and all of a sudden Ed Oliver was like, I don't think so, and just slammed him into like 3 coaches and took off running, and I was like, this is it. This is the game we fucking wanted. This is everything we wanted this to be, dude. It was everything we thought it would be, and at the same time, when you talk about what Josh Allen does, the minute he scored, that place exploded. That place fucking went crazy.
I can't even imagine.
I was like, good luck, Lamar. You're not. I'm sorry. Like, this place is not going to let you win tonight. They refuse to let you go out a winner.
I mean, the only thing, and I'll say this, Mackey, I agree with all those takes, but I do think that for that take to become true, this weekend is the pivot point.
You can't let him get up 4-0 in the championship.
If you let Lamar get to this will
Mahomes.
If you let Mahomes get to, this will be his fifth
Before.
Super Bowl. No, but like his fifth Super
appearance,
Bowl, right?
Yeah,
his fifth Super Bowl appearance with the chance to win 4. You're never catching that, right? If you can cut the deficit to 1-3, like it's and maybe this is a hot take. I think that last night was whoever won that game last night was winning the Super Bowl, right? And that might be an extremely hot take, right? But I do think that. So if they can get through and they can get and pass Mahomes here. I mean, you're not going to cut the deficit at 1-3. You start getting yourself some weapons, right? You start figuring that stuff out there. Coleman starts getting there. You've got Dawson Knox and Kincaid, who are both on the younger side, and you flip it and you look over what is Mahomes losing? Does Kelsey have another full 18-game season
35,
run
man.
left in
That's
him.
a lot.
Andy Reid is.
He looked kind of shitty there during the year, and obviously playoff Travis came out, right? Clayton Clark was there to get them all going, right? But flipping it to what Josh, like, I just see this team continuing to ascend, right? And they've got some really key young players in really key places, and then you go out and you bolster up some of your interior defensive line. You go out and you find another big-time wide receiver on the edge in free agency, right? Maybe you let Amari Cooper walk and you see who's out there, because what receiver in the world doesn't want to come play with Josh Allen? Right? If you're a prime free agent receiver, like if I'm T. Higgins, I'm going, it'd be pretty fun. I've gotten to play with Joe Burrow. Now maybe I get to go play with Josh Allen. That'd be kind of neat.
I think he's going to play with Drake May, but
you're right. Like
money
Drake
might talk.
Joe
In that
Burrow,
I don't know,
Josh
Mackey. I
Allen.
don't know about that. If Josh Allen calls me and Drake May calls me, I'm like, Drake, you're cool and all, but this guy, have you met this
you
guy?
See his hair?
Have you seen this thing coming out the back? It's really cool.
It's got some flow.
But I mean,
No, he doesn't.
so I agree with your takes. I got a little bit of I got to throw some shade here at
Ding
John
him.
Harbaugh, which I
ding
don't
him.
like to do. I don't like to do, but
What's
I need,
what's
to.
the violation here?
Why the fuck are we chasing points in the third quarter?
Okay, that's fair.
Like, I don't understand why coaches do this. I really don't. Like, I understand if you're in the fourth quarter and you're like, man, I might only get one more possession, 2 if I'm lucky. But if I recall, there was like 10 minutes left in the third quarter, and they were chasing points going for 2 instead of just kicking the field goal, right? Getting there where you're now, because that for me never has made any sense from an analytical standpoint. And I'm not a huge analytics guy, but if you go for 2 there and you miss it, and then the other team goes and scores a touchdown, you're now down 9 instead of being down 8, right? So then it immediately turns into a 2-possession football game. And that's kind of what happened to the Ravens here at the end, is if they would just kick the field goal and kick the extra point there in the third quarter, they don't have to rely on a 2-point conversion from Mark Andrew to tie the football game. They could go for 2 to win the football game,
and then it could even be a more devastating drop by Mark Andrew.
More devastating drop. Or you kick the field goal and go, okay, let's go to halftime, or let's go to overtime here. Let's see if our defense can stop Josh Allen with 1:30 left, which I don't think would have happened. But I just don't understand the idea of chasing points in the third quarter is mind-blowing to me. I think it's such a bad idea.
As someone who loves analytics and statistics,
Talk to us, Mackey. What's the science behind it?
Generally, the higher scoring the game, meaning like the easier it is to go down with a quarter left and score points, the less you want to chase points because you're going to get another chance to score points.
Right.
And it's kind of borderline because you're toward the end of the third quarter. It's like it's 21-19. It's not a low scoring game. You probably think you're going to get another time. I think it's very coin flippy in that spot. My guess is John Harbaugh's thinking, boy, even just from like just rallying the troop standpoint, if we can go into the fourth quarter tied and it's even, is he thinking about the mental aspect of that? Because the math is really 50-50. People are going to, on the Mark Andrews thing, by the way, people are going to put this on him because it's the last thing that you saw. It was a chance to tie the game. But all the mistakes the Ravens made early in the game that led them to playing catch up and chasing points and having to be down by 8 and then down by 2. Dude, I'm sorry. Like, even if he catches that ball, there's 1:30 left for the best quarterback in the world right now to go down and get a field goal at home.
Yeah.
I think they're losing either way.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing when he scored initially. Like, I was not upset. I was like, oh, good. He did it quickly.
Right.
That for me, when they threw that touchdown, I was like, oh, there's 1.5 left, not like 25 seconds left. Like, that would then concern me. But, I mean, just 1.5 for Josh Allen to go up down the field. But Lamar after the game, too. I mean,
what was that about, dude?
His press conference. I mean, if you listen to the entirety, right, it's really easy if you just take the clip where it's like,
no, I know,
hold
but
on,
still.
Paul, like, I'm tired of this shit. It's like, wait, are you talking to yourself? Like, I understand Mark Andrews had a terrible fumble, and I understand he had a terrible drop, and Derrick Henry had a terrible drop at the beginning of the game. But you threw a terrible interception. You had a awful play where you just didn't catch the football, right? So you can very easily put this on yourself in the first half. Obviously, you played lights out in the second half, and you did everything in your power to help your football team win this game. But I did not enjoy it, and I get it, dude. The dude's got to be so frustrated. And after a game and a playoff game like that, I really wish that you could pull the microphones away for, like, give these dudes like an hour and let them just come back to earth after what has just been an all-out hell war for the last 3 hours. But you get a microphone in your face, the frustration boils up, and I know he probably didn't mean to throw Mark Andrews under the bus. That's not the way he made it sound. But at the same time, not a great look for the post-game presser for Lamar Jackson.
Hey, you said it earlier, and it wasn't that he didn't catch the ball. It was kind of a weird snap, and it kind of hit his hand and went up. But then it's trying to do too much, right? Like you see somebody coming at you, he's starting to tackle you. He's still like, what should I do with it? It's like, hey, we're lucky we got the snap. We're lucky you're not hurt. Let's just go down with the ball and live to fight another day. And they kind of talked about it early in the game when they were talking about how they said that Lamar wanted to be less antsy. And we've talked about this on this show. The more antsy he gets, the more antsy the team gets, right? They see him all frustrated. They see the ball coming out. Bad things are going to happen. You go in at half 21-10. Now, you're right. Lamar came out and had a hell of a game. But at the same time, where was that in the first, right? This is playoff football, and it's different, and it is way harsher, and teammates are way tougher on you. And a lot of this is like, hey, that interception doesn't help us. That fumble doesn't help us. At the same time, you jumping around doesn't help us. All these things are not good for us. At the same time, the guy on the other side looks like he's barely moving. Looks like he's giving barely any effort. He's having a blast, running around, throwing the ball, running for 2 touchdowns. Like, this is one of the things that when you look at this game, it was early that you could see that Josh Allen was like, okay, I'm just going to play within my means, and I'm going to do what's best for this team. And early, not to say that it's easy to play in Orchard Park, because nothing about that is easy. But you could see that Ravens were kind of all over, right? Everybody's all around. You're like, what the hell is going on? And yeah, do I think Mark Andrews dropping the ball at the end of the game was horrible? I think it sucked, and I felt really bad for Mark, especially when they showed him on the sidelines and not one person was standing next to him. And then he was like, where's that helmet of mine? Boy, I don't want anyone to see me. And I was like, oh, bro, been there. We've all been there, right? Where we're like, where's my helmet? I don't want anyone to look at me right now. I feel disgusting. Yeah. I mean, you feel really, really bad. But maybe that's why that Lamar thing at the end kind of pissed me off. Because we've talked about this on our show, too. When they pay you $250 million to shut up, right? Hey, a lot of bad things happened in this game. I didn't help our cause, but we fought hard. We tried to come back. Like, in no way is like going crazy like that a good look for anybody on that team. You know what I'm saying? Because Jay's right. Whether what you mean is real or not, people are going to pull that out of context and be like, was he talking about Mark Andrews after what he did in the first? Is he for real? Like, all these things start to show up, and you're the leader of this team. You are the one that everyone's going to say lives and dies with the sword. It's how it goes, dude. They pay you the most money. At the same time, you have the ball in your hands the most. If you would have won that game, everybody would be praising you. But instead, they're going to be like, that interception and him running around and fumbling the ball were really 2 of the worst plays in that game.
I mean,
yeah, Mark didn't catch
it. You could even lead to the play where he tripped and fell, right?
Well, that was more Linderbaum.
I know, but there was just so many miscues on this offense.
I agree. It was a rough day.
And this is, we talk about, everyone's like, well, it's playoff football, dude. Those things are magnitude like 10. Right, those little mistakes just pile up, and that's the difference between winning a 2-point game and losing a 2-point game. Right, the coaches always say it. Right, you'll get in the locker room and Harbaugh's like, "Hey, that game's not on Mark Andrews. Right, that game's on all of us. We all took our turns. Blah 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 blah." And as much as in the moment you're like, "No, it's not. Catch the football." It really is. Right, the game as a whole, you always kind of felt, the Ravens were gonna have to dig themselves out of a hole to win this football game.
Yeah.
And they almost did, right? And they almost did. And I'm not going to lie, that slightly concerns me for the Bills going into the Chiefs game, right? Anytime a team needs how many turnovers they have? 3?
3. Yeah.
Anytime a team needs 3 turnovers to win a 2-point game, makes you a little nervous at times, right? Like, what happened? How come you couldn't go down there and just punch one of those games into a field or a touchdown there at the end, put this game away? But at the same time, everyone's playing their best ball at the moment, so right. I don't read too much into that. But that is one of my concerning points coming out of this game for the Bills, is like, you had every opportunity to go put this game away, right? Finish them, right? As soon as they didn't hit the 2-point conversion, all you needed to do is make this a 2-possession game, and everyone would have been able to take a big, deep breath on that sideline and regroup, and they just
I have a hand up. I have a hand up. I have a question. Can we just say that team that they took 3 turnovers from also has the most prolific quarterback in the NFL right now, that being able to run the ball and throw the ball, and And I'm almost positive I heard this last night. They're number 1 in the rushing yards per play and passing yards per play, so that would make him the most prolific. Yeah, I'll take a fucking win at that point. I don't care how we won that game.
No, I'm not. I'm saying it makes me nervous for next week. Like,
how? How could that make you? Have you seen the Chiefs? I poke it with a stick like, are we awake today?
It's kind of how the Chiefs.
You're nervous? The Chiefs are looking at this like, did you see what they just did to the Ravens? Kelsey, your girlfriend can't come this week, okay? Enough of this, whatever this is, enough of it, okay?
Wait, so you're saying that the Chiefs aren't sitting over there looking at the box score saying, but you know what, the Ravens average 7.5 yards per play, and the Bills only average
you know what they
4.5
said?
yards per play process-wise.
See this reffing crew? We don't know them. We know the ones coming to our game. We'll be fine. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Don't worry.
Some of the memes, like, did you guys see the Patrick
Mahomes
making out with the referee?
My brother sent me that one. He's just like, thank you.
Hey, we'll get to it, but those two dudes that knocked each other out were like, wait a minute, we didn't even touch them. We fucking touch each other.
Hey, last thing on this Bills Ravens game.
Yes.
I know we said last week, let's take a deep breath before burying Lamar Jackson.
Do it.
I think there's some fair criticism, but I will say this.
Do it, Phil.
I think he's gonna
throw dirt on the grave. Do it.
I think he's gonna win a Super Bowl at some point. But right now, his career is defined by his personal failures in big spots.
Yeah.
So in the last calendar year, Lamar Jackson has 2 multi-turnover games. Yesterday and the AFC Championship game. So, like, the bigger the game, I get you're playing the best teams in the world, the more likely it is that he turns the ball over 2 or 3 times. When trailing in the second half, so, hey, we need you. The game is not going in our favor. We're down by double digits, whatever it is. We need you, buddy. Not every game, but when trailing by double digits in the second half all time, the Ravens are 0-10 in the Lamar Jackson era. Hey, it's 20.
That's not a good look. I'm just going to be honest.
Here.
That's not a good look, right? And this is one of the reasons why we talked earlier in the year about, like, you have to prove it. You have to show it to us. During the regular season, it's easy to go out and beat up shitty teams. But when you get into the playoffs, it's very hard. Like, I went into that game going, there's no way that Buffalo's going to be able to account for Derrick Henry and Lamar, right? And all these other weapons. And at the same time, they made it look easy in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, are we sure Derrick Henry was running for all those yards this year? Was that this year or last year? I was like, Johnny, am I high? What the fuck is this? He was like, Dad, Jeremiah called it. I was like, shut your mouth right now. He's like, Dad, you should have believed him. But that's one of the things where going forward, it's like, yeah, I will be thinking. Like, it's one of those things that's been pressing on our brain for a long time. Here's a great player. He's been on great teams. He's been in the playoffs. It's just you get him in a big game and everything just kind of crumbles, right? And it's like, to take that step is a huge step. And that's why I have so much respect for Patrick Mahomes, because he did it at such a young age and continues to do it, where he takes those steps. That's why everyone's like, oh, you're such a lover. I'm like, dude, you know how hard that was?
Playoff Pat, man.
As a young kid to come in and run through teams, that ain't easy. It is not. Those defenses are calculated. Oh, and by the way, he played Bill Belichick's defenses. So don't even give me this bullshit about a McDermott defense. Like, yeah, I'm sure that was tough. I couldn't imagine playing the Belichick defense every year in the playoffs and going up against that. That's one of these things where when you're looking at this, if you want to be great, you have to learn how to throw the ball and run the ball, but hold on to the goddamn ball. It is so imperative. Coaches would hone in the playoffs and be like, if you give this ball away, you might as well give the game away. You can never turn the ball over in the playoffs and go, we're going to win this game, because you just gave it to a great team. You gave it to a guy like Josh Allen, who turned around, took 10 plays out of it, took 9 minutes, was running around laughing a little bit. His offensive line started to fight halfway through. Like, it's literally like a show when their offense is on. You're like, this is actually entertaining. And it's not the big throws. It's the fact that the O-line's fighting every single person. It's the fact that nobody can take Josh Allen down. It's the fact that he runs through 6 guys and you're like, Jesus Christ, somebody hit him. And they're like, they are, but they're bouncing off of him. And you're like, okay, this dude's big. He's the new Ben. He is the new Ben in my mind.
But he can run much better.
Oh, my God. I'd be disrespectful to call him Ben. I'm just saying, like, when guys run into him, they bounce off of him. And you're like, oh, whoa, that was funny.
My last question for you. Does Joe Brady get a head coaching job if they win the Super Bowl?
No.
Well, how locked in are teams? Maybe this is a good transition for one of you guys.
Is this
throw out
his
a mic
first
here.
year?
How locked in are teams on these Lions coordinators
Oh, I think
now
locked
versus
in.
a week ago?
I think they're going to try to do everything they can to
Aaron
pry him
Glenn,
out of there.
Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are going to get
Poached.
Scooped
Let's
out,
go there.
Scooped on out.
Someone throw a mic out
Scooped
from
on
that game.
out.
Let's do that.
I
game.
got a mic.
Go for it.
I'm sorry, Lions fans. I mean, it's my mic is the Lions fans.
I'm so
sad. You guys deserved better.
Thank you.
Like, you guys have been through the depths of hell. You've been almost to the mountaintop, and now you had a 15-win season that got cut short by what Booney just ranted about for 30 seconds, which
A
is
rookie.
turnovers. Like, and Goff, this has kind of been a little bit of an MO for him too. When the wheels come off, they come off spinning at 60. Right? It's not a trickle down effect.
I saw a visual.
It's you're going 60, you're going 60 down the highway and all four wheels. Right? And that's a little bit about what happened. And I don't know, maybe he was concussed, and that's
Dude,
a conversation
that
we can
hit.
have.
We're coming to that.
Because I
I'm
think
fine.
he was
I'm
little.
fine.
I think they drug him in the back, and everyone was like, "Hey, that independent guy, go get some water. Go get some water. Give me 2 minutes." Goff. Hey, anybody home? Bud, anybody home? All right. Hey, you're good, right? You're good. It's the divisional round. Who are we playing? The Commanders. Good. Yeah, he's great. Come on in. Right? Like, I think he was totally checked out.
Yeah,
I think
our backup quarterback was coaching high school football 2 weeks ago, so we really need to get back
when
out
I
there.
saw Teddy,
When I saw Teddy go in, Emma goes, "He's in the league." I go, "He's been in for 2 weeks." I was like,
Johnny comes running downstairs. Teddy Bridgewater's in the game. I'm like, yeah, Johnny, that's not good.
That's
not
a great
good,
thing.
bud. Listen, that hit that he took, that was questionable.
I mean, there was multiple questionable hits in the game.
How about Kirby Joseph threw Jayden Daniels
Jayden
out of
Daniels.
bounds and into the fucking stands? And I was like, we're really not going to throw a flag. That, I think, is what pissed him off.
Well,
and I think
here's-
that pissed the team off.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's funny. Everyone came from watching the Kansas City game, right? Everyone goes from the Kansas City game and turns on the Detroit game, and you're watching quarterbacks just get annihilated. Everyone's like, "Dude, I just watched you like." I'm Patrick Mahomes. They're like, "Throw the flag."
Six flags come flying
And now you're
out.
watching quarterbacks getting like chucked into the video cart, right? Like, you're getting quarterbacks getting lit up on the goal line and no one's saying anything. But I mean, Lions fans, you just deserve better. But Jared Goff turned into a pumpkin a little bit of turning the football over. And I hate saying this because it's a bit of a cop-out, but when you get into playoff football, your non-starters starting always are going to get exposed. And when you have 19 guys on IR from the defensive side of the football, you're playing with fire. And
That's what it is, really.
You were able to get some
Yes.
really good energy for the Vikes games and get everything built up, and you ran into a Sam Darnold that like froze, but Jayden Daniels is not Sam Darnold. He is calm.
Did his pulse
cool,
ever get above
collected.
75
Like,
in that game?
That
No.
dude did not panic.
Nope.
They had answers, right? You cannot talk about what Cliff Kingsbury did watching that Vikings game and turning on and going, okay, if they want to do this to us, here's how we're going to answer it. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver screen. Oh, you want to do that? Zach Ertz, just go hook up over the middle. Right? They just had answers for cover zero. They had answers when they wanted to play shell. Right? Everything the Commanders did against that defense at will. And they just did not have enough of the Jimmy and the Joes able to make big-time plays because they're all guys that might not even be starting in the NFL next year, and here they were starting in a playoff game. It's just one of those things when you hit the playoffs, it's really hard to win consistently when you don't have all your dudes.
I agree with you, Jay, and I think that offensively, Goff, number one, he got rocked, dude. Like, to the point to where I was like, I'm surprised the flag wasn't thrown, but at the same time, the minute I saw Teddy, I was like, this is not good, right? Like, you and I both know the quarterback can never not be on the field. And if he is, what's going to happen? People are going to start writing shit, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, man, this place is going to be really bad, right? But I commend them because not only did Teddy go out and do a good job, they scored a touchdown.
A lot of touchdowns.
Kudos to Ben. Obviously, the counter reverse was a beautiful play, right? My biggest issue in this entire game, and you said it, you're dealing with guys, and they talked about it, that are coming in on Wednesday and starting on Sunday, and that's hard to do. That is so hard to do. That's why these guys are going to get positions. That's why Aaron Glenn's going to get a real look at a job, because he was bringing guys in week 17, and we're like, you ready to go play the biggest game of your life and ours? Like, don't fail me now, dude. I don't even know your middle name. Here we go. When you have 12 guys on the field on a 4th and 2, you fuck yourself. So I have never seen a team be so excited to get somewhere and fuck themselves so bad getting there. I'm not even kidding you. You talk about Jared Goff giving the ball away. I know who was trying to win like hell. Jahmyr Gibbs was. I would have been like, you know what? Goff just got ruined. I'm just going to hand it off to this dude as much as humanly possible. I don't care if they figure out our strategy. I have to do something to get this back in. And they were down. The problem was the minute they went down 10, they just could not come back, because they would. And then all of a sudden the Commanders would come back.
Stop.
And you were like, oh, God.
You knew they weren't
they couldn't
stop.
They couldn't stop the run game. They couldn't even stop Brian Robinson coming through the middle like 12 yards every time. I was like, Johnny looks at me and he was like, I told you the Commanders were going to win. I go, shut your mouth right now. He's like, all you guys were wrong. And I was like, dude, listen, nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this offense starting to implode. A pick 6, nobody saw that coming. Like, all we saw was Amon-Ra going downfield all day, like, woo, going crazy. Jahmyr Gibbs slipping everything. Jamison Williams grabbing his balls at one point, giving everybody the middle finger. That's what I was expecting.
Dude, he banged a chick in the end zone. Did you see his thrusting?
Oh,
they cut away from it quick.
I didn't see it.
He was full mount position, like bumping, grinding. My wife's like, "Is that a fine?" I was like, "That's
a big one.
That's going to be a nice big fine."
That's also going to be the last thing Dan Campbell's going to want to see after losing a game, right? Like, oh, hey, your receiver got fined this much money. As I'm telling you piss off the head man enough.
I mean, maybe this is a hot take, but I think David Montgomery coming back actually hurt this offense.
Whoa!
If you look at what Jahmyr Gibbs has done since Montgomery has gotten hurt,
yeah,
the dude has been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. I think he's. We talk about Saquon and Derrick Henry,
he's
and then
three
Gap.
for sure.
I think he's in that conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like they took him off the field too much in this game.
Okay.
I
live
mean,
with that.
and it's not. This isn't an indictment on David Montgomery.
No, it's just the truth.
Right? It's just, if you've got a running back that's got the hot hand like Gibbs had throughout the back, basically all of December, right? Like basically all of December, Gibbs was just killing people, right? I mean, multiple touchdown games, 100-yard rushing games, plus another 60, 70 receiving, and his acceleration is just mind-boggling to watch. And it felt like when he was touching the ball, things were going well, and then it's like, oh, we're starting David Montgomery, and you go 3 and out. And again, that's not an indictment on David. It's just he didn't look like he's coming off an MCL. He didn't have the rhythm to it. I felt like that was maybe the biggest blunder of a personnel decision from Ben Johnson this weekend, was just not riding the hot end. Be like, David, we're very glad you're back. Right? If we get a 4th and 1 or a 3rd and 1 and we need the hammer, we're bringing you in. But otherwise, it's 26's show, man. Like, he got us here. We're riding his shoulders here. And then, obviously, the creativity of Ben Johnson was great.
So creative.
Did you see it?
Creative
Did you see it?
mastermind.
Do not let Jameson Williams throw the football.
Hey, he was so covered. At one point, I was like, you're not throwing that ball.
Know yourself. Be like,
and
listen,
it's the decision. Okay, like at least Jared Goff can make a decision.
Yes.
I'm not going to throw this ball.
No, Jared Goff can get away with throwing an interception. The receiver's not allowed to throw an interception ever. That's the rule in the room. They tell that to him. Like, hey, listen, you are only throwing this ball if he is
within 10
wide the
yards
fuck
of
open.
him.
He has to be so wide open that they don't even see him. That's not what I saw. As
Yeah.
soon
But it
as he
was
was
really
coming
creative,
around,
though,
you
wasn't
saw
it?
the
Super
defense
creative.
fading, and he was like getting ready to throw, and it was
He
like,
pumped
don't.
it once. He
It was
he
don't
brought
do
it
that.
back. He brought it back down. You're like,
Don't do that. Don't
put
do
it in the
that.
dirt. Put it in the dirt, or put it in the cheap seat.
Listen, last night, whenever that was also a night that Ben Johnson was like, hey, real quick, I just want to show you how smart I am before I get this job. When he lateraled it and then they pitched it back in, I was
That was
like,
a cool play. That was a cool play.
here we go, Ben. Keep showing the world
He
what you
was
can
in
do.
He was in his bag. Dude.
He was
And I
trying
get it.
hard.
Only one of them was a blunder. Like, the other ones were incredible.
Oh, yeah, I love
Right,
it.
but
the
you-
blunder was
you
on
just-
Jameson, though.
You
That's
can't-
only on him.
You can't let the receiver in that moment have that decision in his hands.
No.
Like, and that's for me. Like, I think the play call was like, well, it didn't get executed great by the receiver side, but whenever you do that, in the biggest drive of the game, right? Gotta have it points moment where if I turn this ball over here, the Commanders, we have not stopped them all day. They're going to go down and make this a 3-possession game. Gotta have it moment. Don't put the ball in Jameson Williams' hands.
To throw it. Dude, to throw it. That's what we mean. To throw it. If you want to throw it to him, we're all about that.
If you want to give him on the reverse,
we love
or
when he
something
catches
again,
him.
Sweet, but don't put the decision to throw a football or not in his hands.
And listen, Ben, he's going to get a head coaching job out of this. Like it's the Raiders are a flirtation. It was super awkward, by the way. Tom Brady came on for a portion. And Kevin Burkhardt asked him about like
the
how's the interview process going. It's because I think they're trying to like be transparent that Tom Brady is a Raiders owner.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Which is a terrible idea.
But this game showed you, and Ben Johnson might wind up being a great head coach, and we're going to find out soon enough. But we have moved so far in the direction of you have to hire an offensive guy. And look how he calls reverses twice a game. He's so creative. He's a mastermind. And meanwhile, on the other sideline, Dan Quinn is standing over there as a defensive mastermind with a backwards hat, developing one of the great rookie quarterback seasons of all time because he knew how to hire great offensive coordinator. Like, give me a leader, give me a culture builder first, and if they also happen to be offensive-minded and creative and mix in a double reverse once in a while, great. But it's like, oh, I'm also sensitive. I've been fighting with people who want Kevin O'Connell fired or traded.
So there's an underlying issue. There's an underlying issue coming
I was
from
about
here,
to say,
Mackey.
you're so dark right now.
Why are you so bad at Ben Johnson? We've been
what are
big
you
fans
talking
of
to
Ben
Ben
Johnson.
like that for?
He calls double reverses.
Mackey, I'll
He's
smack
so
the shit out of you if you don't stop talking to Ben like that.
That makes a lot more sense. I was like, what's happening? We've been Ben Johnson fans all week.
I was going to say, wait.
And now Phil's like, here's a guy, this motherfucker, right? Like,
he's coming to Minnesota. He's coming to Minnesota.
Okay, who hurts you?
But like we sit here and Dan Quinn has been
He cried.
One of the great defensive coordinators.
I cried.
Took a team to a 28-3 Super Bowl leader. Like he's like a boring defensive guy. It's his cast aside. No, he has turned around the Washington Commanders along with and by the way, Sean McDermott is a defensive guy developing Josh Allen. And John Harbaugh is a special teams guy developing Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying, like, just because they call double reverses, he's an offensive guy who fights with the fans.
Easy. We'll get to that.
Anyways, Dan Quinn love.
For sure. And I agree with you 100%. And if we're going to change this subject to Washington, I think my hottest take is I really think that they might beat Philly. Like, I'm just going to say this now. Listen.
I think Philly. This is the team. This is the one team they didn't want to see.
I agree 100%. Team from your own division.
They wanted the Lions because they saw all the same things we've saw. Right. Eventually, this defense is going to wear out.
Running low. Right.
Eventually, we're going to be able to get to the immobile Jared Goff. Right. With our pass rush, like they were like, we want the Lions. Like the Lions, like we'll go to Detroit.
We can rush the passer there.
Like, we're there. Woo! As soon as they won, they're going.
Fuck.
We're
going to have to chase this dude down.
That is not the team they wanted to see, especially with the way that they beat them at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I agree 100%. And Jayden Daniels, not only the fact that he can command this offense, but he can do it without ever looking phased is the most incredible thing to me. With a minute that Kirby Joseph pushed him out of bounds, I was out of my seat. And as an offensive lineman, Jay, you know me, we would have been like fucking Roger Rosengard and everybody, right? Like, whoa, who we pushing? But at the same time, the way that Jayden Daniels handled it, like, whoa, hey, it's okay. I was like, I love this kid so much more. Why? Because in that moment, he would have calmed all of us down and be like, no, guys, we're good. We're just going to run it right up their ass the next play. Watch this, right? Like, he just seems so calm. But then he's making people look amazing. Damani Brown, Zacchaeus, all these guys are showing up. And it's a lot because he's putting the ball in the most perfect places. And he's getting rocked. Dude, there is literally a 3-inch cut underneath his eye that he took last week from getting destroyed out of bounds.
That's great.
There's nothing that phases him. And at the same time, you said it, the team's run by a defensive guy. Do you know what that means? That means the margin for error is like this. You show up 5 minutes early, you're getting fined. That's what those defensive guys mean. That's why the culture's changed, because all of a sudden we bring discipline back with a defensive guy. But here's a guy who played with Pete Carroll. And not only that, do you know what that means? That means we like to have fun around here. It means we like to do things a little bit different. You can tell this team from last year, and I've played in several Washington teams. I've never seen them get this hyped. I've never seen these dudes going at it like this. And really, a big part of it, and I'm going to say this, is their offensive line. I think a lot of what they're doing,
which hurts with Sam
Cosmi
being gone.
I
That's
know.
a big loss going against Jalen Carter next week.
But I have faith because I'm an O-lineman and I know all the rules, and we can start to blur lines at some point and be like, there's a guy on the field, we're going to blur this line for this week. And I'm like, okay, I could do that, right? Jalen Carter is no joke, by the way. Like, big kid playing with little kids at times. I'm like, we cannot single him up. I think we found our new Aaron Donald, right? Like, we're starting to see guys take off. But we'll get to that. My biggest problem is going to be this. Can you stop Jayden Daniels? Because it seems like no matter how hard you hit him, no matter how far out of bounds you throw him, he's still going to come back the next play. They're still going to be revved up. There's so many answers between Zach Ertz, Scary Terry on the outside, Zacchaeus, Damani Brown, Brian Robinson in the backfield. Like, there's so many people to go to, and at the same time, if I just pretend to give it to someone and take off, now I put you in a whole nother predicament. Dude, I really am excited for this game. I don't know that I want it to snow like it did the last game.
I think it's going to be even colder.
Oh, man, that could be rough because then it gets a little tricky when you're trying to plant, cut. I mean, we saw in the last game. We saw in the last
the plant.
playoff game. Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's snow everywhere as the game goes on. It's getting whiter, and guys are starting to be like, hey, your foot good? No, it's not. Shit. Like, at one point, Havenstein got tossed out of the club, slipped and fell, took out the left guard. The left guard took out the center. Like, those are the games where you're just like, hey, man, we're on skates, okay? Everyone just be cool. And the D-line knows if they just touch you, he's going backwards. So you're like, oh, God, this is going to be so much. What plays into our favor? Both sides, the run game. Right? Instantly, we're like, hey, we might not be able to throw the ball as much as we want because our receivers breaking out of routes. We're not going to waste throws. But at the same time, we can run the ball. Who likes to do that? Both these teams. Yeah. That's what's going to be super fun.
One last Jayden Daniels note here. So you think, hey, he's a rookie quarterback. This worked against Sam Darnold. Let's just bring the heat for 3 hours, right? Let's just throw every blitz we have in our bag against this dude. So they blitzed him on almost 50% of pass attempts,
which is normal for them.
I mean, that's higher than their season.
It's higher than their season.
They definitely ramped.
What are they,
it
like
up.
40%, 45?
No, they were in the 30s.
I thought they were higher than that.
They ramped it. I mean, but they ramped it up for a rookie, thinking, he's a rookie. Oh yeah, he's gonna mess this up. So he went against the blitz 12 for 15 for 200 yards. And a 141 passer rating. And his pulse never hit 75.
And what's next week, though? Next week is no blitz, which is going to be interesting because these dudes get home with 4. And that's why the playoffs become so fun because here's one team that's going to go cover one with guys they just brought in on Wednesday. That's how crazy the Lions are. They're like, we are who we are. We live and die by this. Like, and you have to. You can't go in the league and then all of a sudden be like, we're a dominant team. But we're going to change our scheme because we're running low. Like, you have to just be like, this is what we do best. Let's just do it, right? Our linebackers make us who we are. Our safeties are playing at an outstanding level. We're starting to lose players as we go, but this is what we do. When you look at this Eagles team, my question is going to be with everybody dropping and these 4 dudes hunting you down, now what does it look like, right? But how do we save that? If we can get into third and manageable, if we can have positive plays on first down, if we're not ever behind the sticks, then no point do we have to go 4 wide, right? That's what they want us to do. They want us to spread everybody out so they can just come home. But if we just keep this a very simple game and we hand the ball off here, we do a little play action here, we do some quick screens like we love to do. We just scored a 70-yarder last week against one of the best teams in the NFL. He literally split 2 defenders.
The best team in the NFL.
That is what I'm talking about. This can start to work in their favor, but you cannot see that 98 across from you. You cannot get blurred at all by what he's doing. You have to get away from that dude. Trouble.
By the way, the Commanders, I think it was the longest streak in the NFL of not reaching the conference championship game.
Now it's the Cowboys.
It's the Cowboys now?
Yes.
How amazing is this,
now
right?
It's the Cowboys.
I know.
1996?
And they're getting a new coach. We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Let's do this. Let's call this part 1 here. We're going to give you part 2. We have 2 more games to break down, maybe some dumb football questions. We'll see if we have time for some audience dumb football questions. But yeah, hit that like button, the subscribe button on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. We got Boone, we got Sirles, Mackey. We'll see you for part 2.